Page 42, Serpentine and Confetti. Here they're talking about how to handle 6/8 time when you speed it up. You see, every time signature has natural accents. And I haven't been talking about them lately. I'm hoping you're in the habit of doing the natural accents by now. And depending on the speed, that might change things a little bit. Well, the first beat of the measure is always the strongest natural accent. But there can be others. At 6/8 time, you'll see the notes. Look on page 42. These eighth notes, they're being 3 at a time. They look like triplets. They're not triplets. They're regular eighth notes. Here in 6/8 time, an eighth note gets a beat. But they beam in this way because they want you to feel it that way. They want you to feel this in 2. The measure 1, 2, 1. Because if you go slow enough, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. But when you speed it up, and a lot of times we do in 6/8 time, you feel it in 2. So as you start speeding it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, you feel it in 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of marches are written in 6/8 time. Left, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You think they're triplets, and they're not triplets. It's in 6/8 time. And that's basically what this feels like. That feels like triplets, really. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's after you speed it up. Well, good luck with that. Let's go over this piece and see what we can do with it first. Treble and bass clef. No sharps or flats in the key signature. We're back down to earth again. Good grief. It's key is C major. Okay. Oh, it's 3 pages long. Did I mention that? It's actually longer than that because it's got repeat signs and things. So got to deal with that. 6/8 time signature. We got eighth notes all over, but each eighth note gets a count. Now, if you look at this, most of it is just broken chords. Look at the first measure. These notes, that's a C chord. These notes, it's a C chord. So it's a C chord, and the left hand C chord, C chord. So the first 2 measures, and a lot of this is this way. Look at the second line. Well, that's a G chord here. And then third line back, C chord. They're just broken chords. Look on page 43. Here, that's an F chord. F chord, F chord. All of these are F chords because they use these notes, and that's the F chord. The C's on the bottom. Doesn't matter. It's still an F chord. And these other notes are in this chord. It's an F chord. Then you go C chord. And then G chord, C chord. So you're going back and forth between these different chords. They're broken chords. Remember, a broken chord is anything other than blocked. And that's what these are. We just have to deal with a few other little things that are sticking in. So I'm going to kind of take this both hands at the same time because a lot of times it's one hand or the other playing. So at the beginning, we're starting out with a C chord, 1 at a time. You just keep it nice and slow. And then left hand does this. And then right hand is up here. And then you have an F and a G in the left hand. And then here, these. Here. Then lift up and come down. G chord. And as I'm playing this, this way I'm only moving one hand at a time. So here, and then I'll come down. And then doing here. And then I have a C and a D in there. And then here. Now, the third line is similar to the first. Now, at the end of the third line, rather than a 1 here, because both hands need to come down. I'm going to use 2 and save my thumb. So I'm here. And that way, when I come down here, I'm not moving as far because both hands have to move. It just helps me move when I don't have to move one hand quite so much. And then here. Again, second finger. This last line on page 42. Same thing, come down again. Now I can use thumb, I'm not moving. And if you can use 2, 3 there in the left hand, that last line, you're here and here. Because that way, you're not moving at all there. So again, the last line is you're here. And here, 2 and 3 here. Okay, now for page 43, again, this is broken chords. This is a broken chord. And this, that's a broken chord, two of them. By the way, on the last measure, the first line, use a 4 on that because the chord is that and that's the fingering for it. So please use a 4 on that. Some people teach 3, I don't know. Second line. Once you understand the pattern of the broken chord, then you're just thinking, I'm playing this chord in this pattern. Now, on the 4th line down here, by the way, use the 4th finger on that too. And then going on, it's 4, 2, 1. Because I just used 5 here. I'm not going to use 5 again. So 4, 2, 1. And they want you up here. You don't have to do that. Because when you repeat, you see the repeat sign? You go back to the last reverse repeat sign. And if there isn't one, you go back to the beginning. And when I look this over, I don't see a reverse repeat sign anywhere. That means I'm going back to the beginning. Well, when I go back to the beginning, my left hand needs to be here. So I'm going to go from here. No, don't recommend it. So at the page 43 on the 4th line down, the last 2 measures here. I want to change this last little bit so I can play that last note with the right hand. That way the left hand can go ahead and go back down here and get ready to repeat. And even if you don't repeat, you go to the next line, it's the same thing. Your left hand's got to be down here. So the last 2 measures is going that, and it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 5. I'm in this position. I'm in the extended position. But this way, the left hand's free to get ready to go on. Now, on page 44, this is all pretty much the same of what you've had except the last line. And all this is a C chord going all the way up. You're starting down here, and you're going to go all the way up. If you have a short keyboard, you go as high as you can go, and that's good enough. So it's C, then here, C, here, C, this C, keep going. Now, they want you to use left hand for that C. I don't think so. Come on. I mean, it's nice of the pattern. It's showy. You want to fall off your bench on the last notes. But otherwise, I'm going to change this fingering on those last 4 notes on the bottom of page 44 to the extended position and play that last note with the right hand. Here. Here. So the left hand doesn't have to reach that far. So the last 2 measures, I'm here. Here. And like I said, if you have a short keyboard and you don't have those notes, you just keep playing these as high as you can go, and then the last, you play the highest C you have for whatever your keyboard is. Now, once you have the notes and the rhythms aren't a problem, there's just 8th note pulses all over the place, then you think about the articulation, which is the slurs and phrases. You connect this. Lift up. You have to lift up, you have to move, and that's really the idea. But on page 43, here, I'm connecting this, but I have a rest in the right hand. Then I lift up. So I'm lifting up, but in the left hand, that's fine. And the right hand, I got rest. I have to lift up. So once you have an idea of that, then try the dynamics. The MF at the beginning is mezzo forte. And it's going to be both hands here for the most part. You're going to go up to loud. This, you can stay in the background here. Then come back down. So they don't tell you to come back down, but I'm not going to be loud and then go up to very loud. And then the 3rd line, I'm going from very loud to super duper loud. No, start each of these lines at moderately loud and go up to loud each time. Right there, in the 3rd measure, you're loud there in the right hand. Come back down. Now we're staying loud. Now we come back about moderately loud. Then at the top of page 43, now come down to moderately soft. Here. It's really both hands, so. guess this is the confetti all over here. I'm not sure. Then you're staying basically that way until the last line on page 43. You go back up like you were at the beginning. Moderately loud. Then page 40 is basically the same thing. You're starting each of these lines out, the first two lines out at moderately loud and going up to loud. And the third line, you're staying loud here. But here, now you're staying loud. You're not coming down. The last line, you start loud and you go up to very loud here. All I'm doing is using a lot of weight. Don't stiffen up. A lot of weight. Let the wrist collapse here, because when you get up here, I'm using a lot of weight on that, but I'm letting the wrist collapse a little bit. Stay loose. Stay relaxed if you can. And then the speed. Well, they have that gay thing. Be happy. To me, it's more like an allegretto, but it has to be accurate. So what can you do accurate? Well, you're constantly moving around, so you're constantly looking down at the keyboard, and then you look at the music to see what's coming. And you'll develop that pattern of when to look down and when to look up. You only have to look down at a glance. You only have to glance down to see where the hand is going. It's better to get into the habit of just glancing down when you need to, rather than glancing down and staring at it or studying it. You know what it looks like. Just glance down and then back on look at the music as much as you can. So here, I'm glancing down here to get my left hand, and then here, I'm just glancing down just a little bit as I do this. And you develop that system, that rhythm of looking up and looking down. On page 43, you don't really need to look down too much, because you can develop a feel for where these chords are. So the speed is up to you. It's got to be accurate and even. It depends on you on how fast you're going to play it. Now, just to mess things up, they've added pedal. I like this piece without pedal. I like a clean sound, and this gives me that nice clean sound where I can do it pretty much well without pedal. No, they don't want that. They want to throw it all out. Well, we need to understand the effect. Well, of course, we can hear the effect when we do it, but really, is that the effect we want? So, because this goes by quickly, I got to push the note down pretty much, or push the pedal down pretty much with a note. It's got to go down, because otherwise I'll miss the note. And then lift it up. I'm not lifting the hand up, I was lifting the pedal up. And then with the third measure. If you like that sound, that's fine, go with it. You experiment with the sound. Maybe on the third measure of these lines, you don't want that. Maybe you don't want that, so you don't pedal it. Maybe you want the pedal on the last measure. You want to blur that too. I could pedal it all. It depends on the effect I'm after. The pedaling in the book actually works quite nicely. Now, when you get to the bottom, the last line on page 42, you're here. You're hearing the phrasing. But on here, I would lift it up here. Lift it up. Here. Because I can connect the left hand. So it's up. Here. And then lift up. So I'm lifting up for the phrasing. Otherwise, I just hold it down because it's all the same chord, so the harmony fits. I can pedal it all together. That works out fairly well. Now on page 44, the last line, you're pedaling that whole thing. It's just a C chord. And so you're holding out, you're letting it all ring, which is good because you want to get louder here, so you want more overtones. You want it to round. So yeah, hold that pedal down all the way through there. Now we have a page turn to deal with. We got to figure out what to do without that. So you go through your options on page turns. Well, memorize the piece. You almost have to anyway. It's got to. Or you get somebody to turn the page for you. Or you got to do it yourself, so we got to figure out how to do it yourself. So hopefully one-handed and busy has rests? No, both hands are busy. So we can't use the rest, because usually if one hand has rest, you can turn the page while it has rest while the other hand's playing. Doesn't work here, you can't do that. So what are the options? Well, we don't want to leave out notes if we can help it. Sometimes you have to, but yeah. So what are the other options? We do have another option here. If you take a look at page 44, you will notice that the first 3 lines of that page are identical to the last 3 lines on page 42. They're the same. Actually, you could say it's the same as page 42, but the first line is at the bottom of page 43. So you're just playing page 42 again, except for the last line. And that last line is just that C major chord, arpeggio going up. And you don't need music for that. You're starting here, and you're going to play the C chord all the way up to here. You don't need music for that. You got to be looking at the keyboard anyway to move around. So in that sense, when we analyze the music, we realize that we understand page 44 now. We don't need to turn the page and look at it. So when I get down to the bottom of page 43, actually at the repeat sign, I'm going to go back and play page 42 again. And then I'm just going to do that C major arpeggio. I don't need to turn the page. And that works a lot when you can realize that one page is actually the same as what you've already got, or part of it is the same. I do that in quite a bit, actually. Trick here is the speed. We get back to the speed. It's got to be accurate. So you decide on that. Don't play at my speed. You decide how fast you're going to play. Keep it slow if you have to. You can always come back and play it again in the future and speed it up later as you get better with piano. That's all.